Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's have a devotion. We are continuing through Deborah and Barak's song. Here is Judges chapter 5, verse 6. In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the main roads were deserted because travelers kept the side roads. So it's a remarkable thing to call it the days of Shamgar and of Anath and of Jael. This is a foreign woman whose motivations were unclear, but who was instrumental in executing the will of God on the earth. But in these days, all right, where you've got mostly pagan influence, there's desertion of the roads. People are afraid to travel. People are afraid to get out. They're afraid of bandits. All right, there's civil unrest when people aren't revering God, when their laws are no longer based on the authority of God, but just made up. They know those laws don't really exist. It's a relativist society. You can make up your own laws, worship a different God, do what you want. And when everybody does what they want, they're not kind to each other the way that Christians are called to be kind to each other. And so in the days of, those who are named, including the name of a pagan goddess right here, the roads are deserted. Travelers kept the side roads. Villages were deserted. They were deserted in Israel until I, Deborah, arose, a mother in Israel. Right? The people of God had abandoned God. They'd committed idolatry. And so this reaffirms Deborah's status as a prophetess, that she's referred to as a mother in Israel. There's really the absence of a father in Israel. Israel chose new gods. Then there was war in the city gates. Not a shield or spear was seen among 40,000 in Israel. My heart is with the leaders of Israel, with the volunteers of the people. Blessed be the Lord. This theme again returns. She's blessing God. She's giving glory to God, and while also not failing to acknowledge the heroism of people who just volunteered. You who ride on white donkeys, who sit on saddled blankets, and who travel on the road, give praise. White donkeys are particularly rare, and so they were seen as prizes that were given to kings and things like that in times of victory. Let them tell the righteous acts of the Lord, the righteous deeds of his villagers in Israel, with the voices of the singers at the watering places. Then the Lord's people went down to the city gates. So just in these brief few verses, I know that we're looking at the song in pieces throughout the week, but in verses 6 through 11, you can see this stark contrast. It began in the days of Shamgar, Anath, the days of Jael. The main roads were deserted. People kept to the side roads. And then it ends with people gathering at the watering holes, right? People gathering, people gathering, at the city gates. Because the Lord's righteous acts are carried out, because people are doing the righteous deeds that God calls them to, it provides a sense of corporate and social safety. When our rulers know that they're accountable before God for how they rule, then everyone prospers. All right. Even rulers who refuse to acknowledge that or don't acknowledge that, one day will see it. And even they are not beyond God's prerogative to use them as they will. But this is the typical human experience. Lawlessness is a result of a refusal to submit to God's leadership. And that affects everyone. That affects everything. All right. Christians were not calling for theocracy when we protested the idea of the 10 Commandment monuments being removed from our courthouses. All right. Rather, those monuments, it reminded us of the ultimate source of where our rights come from. They come from our Creator. We are endowed by our Creator with rights that can never be taken away from us. And that same Creator wrote with his own finger in stone what is right and what is wrong. And that's the ultimate authority behind the authority. All chains of authority have to end somewhere. Think of Gödel's mathematical proof. Think Anselm of Canterbury's that than which nothing greater could be conceived. There must be a zenith. There must be an apex. There must be a quintessence. There must be an ultimate source for all things. And that includes authorities. So all laws must come from the ultimate lawgiver, otherwise they're made up and they have no credence beyond what human self-control will abide, which is not much. So this aspect of Deborah's song shows the effect of a society that acknowledges its creator and considers itself accountable to God morally. How, man, that affects the city gates, that affects the watering places, that affects the city streets. It affects everyone, including the people who don't worship that God who wrote those laws. These are the societal effects of the kind of moral decay that was pervasive throughout the era of the book of Judges. You could see how it's ever relevant today.